Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Joshua Giles. That's Cydney Davis. This is If This Then What, where we connect the dots and explore the big what ifs and shaping the world. Cydney, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's been a long time since I've seen you.
Oh man, it's been approximately 2 seconds, 20 seconds of intro video, and then before that, earlier today, we got to actually hang out in person.
Yeah,
That was a good time. Um,
it was a good time. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I thought that I was going to be pushing this live. I'm not sure if this is live or not. We could be live. We could be posting this back on YouTube. It's weird. It asked me to record at the same time that I right after I pressed live, or we could have been live when I was trying to figure it out. Cydney,
Uh,
I don't do any edits anyways, so don't mess up. Don't say anything bad.
no pressure. This feels like when JD and I were at the San Diego Zoo and I thought I was getting a really good 30-second shot at the tiger. And I wasn't recording the entire time. I recorded myself going, "Oh man, I wasn't even recording."
Oh man. Well, I think we've got a pretty jam-packed day today. We
Yeah.
had some cool news that came out. Cool, scary, all the stuff AI related.
Yeah.
Um, Cydney, but first, I want to hear what was your AI use cases this week?
Well, this week I did a little bit of adulting. One, I shopped home warranty policies. So that was fun. Yep.
Okay.
So I, rather than trying to remember everything and compare the different quotes, I just uploaded them and asked ChatGPT to help me decide.
I are you a warranty person?
Not
Are you
really.
like
Like, do
I
I
don't
use it?
I can't think of a single thing that I would pay for the warranty of. Because I my
We do.
okay, okay. I
Like
just
our
mine are
washer and dryer stopped working one time. Uh, for the sink, sink getting clogged with all the hair I have. The sink gets, or the
JD
tub,
just needs to learn how to do some plumbing. That's
right?
what I just heard.
Honestly, I
No,
can't imagine doing that. So,
yeah, no, though, like the whole like the nerd in me.
mhm,
Anytime I think of warranties, I think about the fact that there's just a bunch of math crunchers, like data crunchers on the other side. That's like, what are the odds that this person's going to use these things? And it's like a warranty is buying. It's like trying to bet against the house, right? Like
yeah,
you're like betting against Vegas. And I would just rather be Vegas and just like self-insure, like if I have the thing that breaks that was covered under the warranty, man, I rolled the wrong numbers, like I actually hit the jackpot that time.
hmm
I'm gonna have to pay out. But every time somebody asks me for a warranty, I immediately go to this person's making money off of me. I'm not gonna let that happen. So you use this you use the search function on ChatGPT.
yeah, yes, I
Yeah.
use ChatGPT for that.
What was it just like the research part of of comparing, or did you say pull actual rates, contact, send emails, to pull a table?
No,
What
they
did
had
you
sent me proposals, and I
okay,
just uploaded it. Yeah,
gotcha. So
whatever they quoted me on.
you uploaded all the proposals and then you said what?
I just asked it. I was like, "Hey, ChatGPT, help. How should I look at these proposals and help me make the best decision among
Gotcha.
them?" And so then it helped me understand how to look at the different proposals, and then it told me if you're making your decision based off of this, choose this proposal.
Gotcha.
You
Yeah,
know,
no,
so
I think if we can make that like personal connection for all of our community, I think like what you're talking about is like something that is done by everybody now. Is trying to, like, what would I do? I'd probably now that an operator, OpenAI has operator where it can like log into your email and send emails on your behalf. Like
mhm,
I would say, let's create an operation where we go and search warranties, home and warranties let's
Mhm.
email them. Let's have them emails back, have an operator that gets triggered. And I love that like people are like, he's using automate an operator. I'm not yet. I'm not let operator get into my email. I'm talking future down the line. Um, get those proposals back in. And then I would say, what criteria should I compare these insurance pieces on? I would let it list out a criteria. And then I would say, find the information that is correlated to these criteria inside the documents. Like I would do kind of that chain of step by
Mhm.
step. Uh, and then once it came back with all the answers, I would say put this into a table where the x-axis is the criteria and the y-axis is the the different insurance things. So I could
Mhm.
see, hey, this one insurance policy doesn't cover plumbing, and that's the main reason that I'm getting a home insurance. Like, let
Yeah.
me completely remove that from
Mhm.
my list. So I love creating like make telling it to create a table, and
Yeah.
so that I can see side by side things that like don't typically get side by sides, and it's always
Mhm.
interesting to see how it pops up the its
It helps
interpretation.
show you even the gaps that are missing from the information where you're not connect or comparing apples to apples. And
Yeah,
also,
no.
everybody, that just showed you the two complete different ways that that Josh and I's brains function. Both brains can use AI and get good answers to help.
Well, I think the way that you're using AI, so I
Mhm.
think that actually like clarifies like the difference in the old timer of using AI versus
Mhm.
like the newcomer to AI, because the
Yes,
newcomer to
yes.
AI just wants the answer.
Yeah, I don't want the newcomer to be afraid and can just know that they can sound like me.
You just yeah, you
Yeah.
just want to ask the question and like get
Mhm.
the answer. Which one of these policies is the best? What are the criteria so I to even think about? And if they're comparable, tell me why they're comparable.
Mhm.
The old AI user knew that I had to do kind of that chain of thought, right? Like,
Mhm.
I don't want you to think abstractly of what does best mean. I want
Mhm.
to lead you to that well, right? I want
Yeah.
to tell you, I want to first ask you for the criteria. Then I want you to give me those criteria at like the top of your knowledge, like context window. And then I want you to express that criteria in this pattern.
Mhm.
The AI of tomorrow is just doing what you're doing. But if you are a practitioner at like an enterprise or like you're a JD and you're really worried about hallucinations in certain areas, the
Mhm.
less abstract that you can get, the better the answers that you're going to get back. And
I
so
love that.
when you're prompting at like especially at the business level, if you can make it not take guesses and do things in steps. So the one of the biggest things that they did whenever they improved the models was it would break down like complex math pieces into the actual functional pieces of that math instead of or it would break down the problem set. It very much like the brain wouldn't try to just hear a question, answer the question. It would hear the question, think through like historical context of what it is, and then like outline it. Like you're doing it in real
Yeah,
time, you don't recognize it, but like as you teach a kid, this is how you would learn it. And so it's just interesting to hear the differences between how
it
I would
is.
use it because I want to prevent the hallucination that JD's worried about. And so I'm first going to tell it what information I want. Then I want it to get that information and then express it a certain way. And you just
Mhm.
want the answer,
Yeah.
which I think is just perfectly fine. And I would say that there's probably sometimes when I'm asking like factual questions, I'll just ask to give me the answer. If I'm
Yeah.
thinking like abstractly, like something as vague as what is the best warranty policy, like that's a little unique because it's like probably very black and white to people,
Mhm.
but the interpretation that abstract interpretation of what does best mean
Mhm.
actually is quite a bit of thinking power. And
Mhm. And
because
I
like
think, yeah, I think it's a good point what you're saying because that would explain why it responded to me in the way that it did. Because rather than jumping right into just giving me the best choice would be this, it says, here are the different things you should analyze or look at when you're looking at home warranty policies. and then it based it on, if you were to make your decision based on plumbing, to go with your example,
Hmm.
this is which one you would decide. If this mattered more to you, like how much it cost per visit,
Hmm.
being $75 versus $125, then this
Yeah.
is how you should base your decision. So that is interesting. It's kind of doing what you experienced users. I've
Yeah.
learned. Yeah.
Well, now take it to the next step and be a
Okay.
little nerdy, right? You're
Let's hear
paying
it.
for a warranty. You've
Hmm.
got this nice knowledge file. Where are you keeping your knowledge files so that whenever we all have our personal AIs
Hmm.
and we have something that is happening on here, you should
Hmm.
be able to just go to your personal GPT that has access to all your knowledge files and say, tell the warranty company that my plumbing is out, and like have
Wow.
it coordinate the schedule, have it coordinate the email, have it do the things. It'll ask you questions on your availability, and like you
Hmm.
don't now have to go and read your warranty policy to like, hey, is plumbing covered? You can just, hey, is my plumbing covered under any of my insurance policies? And it's got your home insurance and your warranty insurance, and it's like all your different things that you signed up for. And now it's just going to be able to like automate that stuff. The
That's wild.
that's wild.
Hmm.
That's the good. The
Hmm.
bad of that. So say everybody adopts Josh's method of the future, is like we're all going to have knowledge files and we all know how to access it really easily, and it's all going to be AI generated agentically to go and schedule the meeting. Part of the calculation that lowers the cost of a warranty price is the cost of friction, whether or not somebody's actually going to pick up the phone and schedule the thing.
Hmm.
And you're in talent recruitment, and I know a big part of talent recruitment of is like almost that friction of like making something a little bit challenging just so that somebody like actually like is putting a little skin in the game of like getting that like recruiting. As more agentic like frameworks start to come out, that friction is just like gone. And I feel like society, our whole society is like based upon a little bit of friction in like certain areas. And when everybody just has like do it power,
Hmm.
it's interesting to think about what does that mean for warranty claims. Like
Yeah.
do warranty business just go out of business, or do they just like increase their price to double the price? Like what is the next step? That's an interesting, if this then what.
Gosh, if this,
So
then what? Yeah. I like it.
yeah. So you had a home warranty policy, and then what else you got?
So I have this project that I've always wanted to do for myself. I want to journal every day
Mm-hmm.
and then start doing like an on this day review of my journals to see where I was a year ago today. Um, but I want to ask myself the same questions every day just to see progress. And I want them to be broad enough to not keep me from sharing what I'd like to share. But I also want them to be thoughtful enough where I'm really getting some deep insight into myself and how I'm progressing personally, you know?
Mm.
Um, so I've been working on just been chatting through with Chat GPT, just kind of trying to develop those questions and really think through them.
Yeah, I can't wait until ChatGPT or one of these companies comes out with a ability to frame the style of context that you're having a conversation with the ChatGPT. Because I would love do you know who Ryan Holiday is by chance?
No. Mm-mm.
So he's a author, obstacles away, stoic, like his like big into like capital S stoic, not like the
Mm.
like the um oh my gosh, I'm forgetting their names, but Marcus Aurelius, back at like the meditations, like journaling to yourself and like having daily like putting your thoughts on paper.
Mhm.
And I just hate writing. Like I'm a talker. Like I want to
Yeah,
talk, but
same,
like
same.
it's like whenever I'm journaling, it's like my brain moves faster than like my hand does, and
Yeah.
I feel dumb. Like I feel like I'm like actually dumb when journaling, and I
Hmm.
feel like if I could turn my ChatGPT into like a listener mode versus a answerer mode, because right
Hmm.
now it's like it like interrupts you, it like tells you, like it starts talking again, and I just like want it to be like, hey, I'm just gonna like listen to you for 5 minutes, you know.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
Well,
No, I agree. I'm a talker too. I like to pace and talk out loud rather than writing down. So I get that.
yeah,
It's
our
actually
husband.
really interesting that you said that because I've been having the same challenge as you where because I don't write as quickly as I'm thinking. And then
Hmm.
I wonder, I feel silly. I like to use the word silly rather than dumb, but just feel a little bit silly and just weird about it. So it's really refreshing to hear you say that. So thanks for
Yeah,
sharing.
I think faster than I can talk as well, and I think in
Mhm.
processes and steps. And so I outline like I outline like the steps that I'm going to have to take to like get things like a project done like really really quickly. And so that I think that's why I like AI so much, is because like it is as fast as my thinking is, and it's like the first like real like thought partner that just is, it can listen to me ramble, and it can listen to me like go into deep dives and be a thought partner with me, and it's
Yeah.
as fast as I can talk and think, and sometimes faster, and it's thinking of things that are different. So
Yeah.
well, cool. I love those. Those are very human, personal, like you're just a normal person, like ways of using AI, and
Well, I don't know
that
what normal is anymore these days, so I don't
uh,
know about that.
there's no such thing as normal.
Right.
Uh, so my AI uses this week, I I shared with you today. So we had kind of like a meeting, and
Hmm.
my wife is the one that cuts up our videos for shorts, you know that. And so
Hmm.
and she's like
Thank you, Linda.
yeah, thank you, Linda, I love you. But she was working on this last weekend, and I was like, can you just do the title and description and like all that sort of stuff? And she's like, I don't want to watch your videos before doing like the title and the description. Like I don't want to have to like write that out. And I was like,
Mhm.
no, you don't have to watch my video to
Yeah.
give me a title and a description. And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, oh, you just export the transcript and like ask ChatGPT what the title is. And she was like, but like she started asking me like different questions. And I was like, okay, look, I'll just make a custom GPT. And I was telling you that today, and you were like, what is a custom GPT? And I was like, you know what? I feel like I don't have any issues with sharing my amazing custom GPT instructions for the if
Let's
this
see
then
it.
what title, description, and thumbnails. So um and I, because this is like just me and my wife that uses this, it doesn't have to be like super like official or anything. It can have some errors because I can kind of correct it. But if I was doing this from like a business perspective, we would have a lot more constraints, a lot more outlining. It would be a little less generative, and it'd be more prescriptive, so that we forget the hallucinations. But if you have a process that you do the exact same way every way, and you can articulate what that process is, and by the way, ChatGPT really is good at helping you write custom GPT instructions. You can write custom GPT instructions so that you just have to fill the top of the funnel. So
Mm.
um, I have this instructions for if this then what, episode title, description, thumbnail, input, copy and paste your full transcript into of the your episode, if this then what, into the chat. Title suggestions. Step one, GPT will analyze the transcript and generate two numbered titled recommendations. Titles will be short, engaging, reflective on the episode's theme. So Linda did not have to read my YouTube, and can pick between two titles that are very relevant to the things that we talked about. And then it says she can select it, and then she'll write a description of the episode. I wanted it to always incorporate our name of our show, the word AI or the letters AI and artificial intelligence, because I think that's how SEO works. And just like basically gave it like a really quick outline of how a description comes out, and then upon request the GPT will suggest a thumbnail concept in 16:9 tailored to appeal to the enterprise business viewers interested in AI, and then generate the thumbnail. And so this all that Linda has to do is paste that transcript into this custom GPT, and it's going to follow that instructions every time. And her first time using it, it worked perfectly. First shot, at all the different things. So it was kind of cool that we were able to automate a process that she thought she was signing up for, like I've got to first watch the video, then I've got to write the essay, because that's how it used to be done. 8 months ago, I probably could have done the transcript. I probably could have done this, but I would have had to prompt it and along the way. So custom GPTs are a great time saver. So that was my first AI this week. And then my second AI is that I am making a very, very, very simple application that I think my goal is that our community will be able to use it. So at cost is really the goal of that. It's that podcast workflow that I talked about from an education standpoint of, hey, here's a topic, here's 5 different business prompts, and then here's some people talking. And I think that I'm going to use that process enough that maybe, hey, somebody else might be able to use that process. And so I've written up all of the coding for it over the weekend, and I'm excited to figure out a way to launch that. So
it's awesome. I love how we switched weeks. Last week you were, like stew. You looked up how to use stew or you asked how to help me with that.
Was I the productive one this week? Was that
Yeah.
like the?
Yeah, that's really impressive, Josh. I am just so proud of you.
Oh,
You're really
you,
doing the
Cydney.
good work with AI.
Oh my gosh.
No, but all jokes aside, that's awesome. I can think of so many different ways that I would love to make my own custom AI. We might have to talk after this so I can talk through it with you so I can create it. And then I just love how you're always thinking about why did I want to call them our callers?
Our
You're always thinking
callers.
about our callers. Speaking of, I can't even
Of
see
our
the comments.
10 or 15 people. I don't even think we're live. We'll just post this.
I thought you were looking at comments this whole time and I was alone in it.
No, I don't think we're live. It's okay. And we've got like 10, 15 people that were watching this. We've got
Yeah.
we're
I was like,
working
jokes on
our
us. No one's watching.
we're working on our subscribers, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I like to speak things into existence.
Same.
Let's
It's
have
gonna happen.
some prophesizing, and if should they ever look back and be like, was Josh thinking of me on January 28th, 2025?
He sure
Oh,
was.
this is when he announced that amazing podcast app that I use all the time.
What?
What? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I want them to come back and do.
Oh, and Sydney's journal insights from those questions that she worked so hard on the same day have
Oh,
really
Cydney,
made her just continue to evolve as a person.
we're we're cool people.
Yeah,
We're cool
I
people.
think so. Not normal, but cool.
Well, cool. Well, let's jump into AI in the news. So last Tuesday, we were coming off of. I saw a headline 10 minutes before we started the podcast, and so I like briefly talked last week about the $500 billion Stargate project, but I had zero context to like really speak on it. And then I went and did a bunch of research on it for this week. And I was like, oh, this will be like a big part of this because I really want people to understand what does it mean whenever like 500 billion 2025, 2026, like what are they actually built? What does the infrastructure for AI look like? What are the implications for some of this stuff? Uh, well, DeepSeek came out during the week.
Did
So
it?
so I had to pivot. We pivoted. Fortunately, today we've had a recovery in the stock market a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so I wanted to definitely touch on a little bit of the drama of Project Stargate and a little bit of some context of what it is and what is happening. But I'm not gonna spend as much time as it was. So first, I'm gonna bring up to the stage what could be. Is what during the presidential announcement of this, they talked about what
Mhm.
this might mean for the world.
We gene sequence, once we gene sequence that cancer tumor, you can then vaccinate the person, design a vaccine for every individual person to vaccinate them against that cancer. And you can make that vaccine, that mRNA vaccine, you can make that robotically, again using AI, in about 48 hours. So imagine early cancer detection, the development of a cancer vaccine for your particular cancer aimed at you, and have that vaccine available in 48 hours. This is the promise of AI and the promise of the future.
So that's Larry Ellison, part of the Oracle, part of the. So you had SoftBank, Oracle, and OpenAI teaming up with some kind of 500 billion. What is kind of funny about that is that it was like, is this a government program? Is this like the
Yeah.
government just facilitated the meeting? That's essentially what it was. Is that there was some facilitation and some coordination, and it's more of like, we, the US, are putting a stamp on this as like, we're investing as a country into this infrastructure. And I, as the leader of this, am going to announce it, and we're going to make it a big deal for the government. And then you had some squabbles. So immediately following it, Elon Musk tweets out, they don't actually have the money. SoftBank has well under 10 billion secured. I have that on good authority on the Twitter machine. And Sam
Oh
Altman
man.
pouts back. By the way, they're in an active lawsuit right now. It's amazing. So you've got
Yeah.
Elon Musk, the like he's a competitor in the AI space. Like, they have the Colossus. I can't even pronounce it. Colossus, which is like about to be the largest like AI training facility, like 100. Like, it's a huge training facility. So Elon Musk has his own agenda when it comes to AI.
Mm.
He's suing OpenAI because apparently they didn't want to remain a nonprofit, which is his whole unique story.
Mhm.
And they're kind of like frenemies situation where they used to be friends, now they're enemies, and they're suing each other. Uh, Sam Altman on X, on Twitter, on Elon Musk's like personal like bullhorn, responds back, wrong. as
As
you
you
sure,
surely
as you
know.
as you
Yeah, as
surely
you
know,
surely
I know
know.
you talked to that Trump guy.
Uh-huh.
Want to come visit the first site already underway. So there's already a Texas data center that's being built that kind of got lumped into this like after the fact. This is great for the country. I realize what is great for the country isn't always that optimal. Your company, for
For
your
your
companies,
companies.
but in your new role, I hope you'll mostly put America first. And his new role being Doge, which is the Department of Government Efficiency. And it's just like, I love the AI like nerd sphere of like pew, pew,
Yes.
pew, pew, like
As you
shooting back
surely know. Like, yes, of course he would write it that way.
as you surely know. And it's just cool because it's like let's put the human lens on real quick. I know like these
Mhm.
people really aren't human, right? Like they're like they're just like walking robots, I'm thinking. But you have a CEO of probably one of like the most like important to our civilization, like in their life, right? But
Mhm.
this is probably the first time he's going to the the White House, probably the first time he's giving like a speech, like it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
And then like the dude suing you that happens to be the richest man in the world is like, they don't have the money. What are they even talking about? Like it's just
I
comical.
have it and has it on good authority,
Like what are we doing here, Eli?
I
Like,
don't know.
like and it's just like that squabbling that's going on whenever you're talking about like a presidential announcement of a $500 billion infrastructure deal. Like it's significant for us. Like we're putting a claim down, and it's just like you have like the most important people in the space just being like, we're gonna like be Facebook high schoolers on Twitter now.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
MySpace. Like I'm moving you from my top 10.
you're
I'm
not
dating
invited to my
myself.
birthday party anymore. Yeah. Well, see, all of my girlfriends who don't keep up with anything that's progressing with AI and
Mhm.
watch let me just tell you, you don't have to watch the Real Housewives to get the drama. Like
Mm.
you can learn about AI and see the drama. There are cat fights involved.
That there are very expensive cat fights.
Yes.
Very expensive cat fights. I would like to bring up the next cat fight that we are going to talk about.
Let's
This
see it.
is live happening right now.
I'd ask you to simply make it smaller.
Okay, so that's what we're trying to do, but honestly, it's impossible.
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps.
Oh my goodness. So what I am talking about, what is happening on there is last week, the CCP, I don't know, is it, are we truly believing? First, let me take a step back and
Mhm.
ask you, Cydney, your
Yes.
first impressions of DeepSeek, because there's lots of different corners that one can go.
Mm-hmm. First impression was, just kind of curious what it is, right?
Mhm.
Second impression was a 17% dip in my investments in one day. That
Man,
one wasn't fun at all.
not fun at all. And it's
No.
just like uh I don't want to use words I don't really know, but it's apropos,
Mhm,
right? Like it's like we were literally just talking about like last week how
mhm,
Nvidia launched all this stuff at CES and is like creating this
mhm,
like gold rush because everybody needs my chips, like everybody needs it.
mhm,
And what you have going on in the background is we launched this $500 billion like infrastructure deal, and
mhm,
everybody's like, oh, that's a big data center there with 500 billion. That would look nice on like the top line of Nvidia's like balance sheet.
mhm.
And you had kind of some surging that happened last week, and then in the background you have this Chinese model that comes out
Yep.
at 1/30th the price, and if you believe their documentation, as good as like our top of the line models that were trained on $100 million budget,
Mhm,
and they had like a $6.5 million budget, and they're able to replicate. So let me bring this up. So you have here's kind of their documentation that they released, right?
mhm,
Can't trust it, but all of the indicators that we're seeing from people that are really playing with this, so not only did they release this, they did it in an open source MIT model fashion. So what I mean
mhm,
by MIT is they not only released the model for you to interact with, but they also released the weights, and they released some of the things that like helps you fine tune it. And like open source MIT is like the gold standard of like, you just want people to have things for free. And you want to collaborate. Basically, it's like the a little bit further than what Facebook and Twitter, like Meta, is doing. with their llama models. So what you have is 1/30th of the price. And so there's an official story that we are supposed to believe. There was a breakthrough lab, and that breakthrough lab was a quant hedge fund. So essentially, that's Nerd Talk 2. They did cryptocurrency, and they had a bunch of like servers that they were using, and they're like, wouldn't it be cool if we built our own AI? They released DeepSeek R1, rivaling OpenAI. So this R1 is rivaling O1, which is like your chain of thought, like processing, which is like the thing that's like the most difficult. It has the least amount of hallucinations, the least amount and nobody's open sourced a model like this. Then open source innovation made AI freely available, challenging proprietary models. Technical advancement, it used outputs from advanced models and train efficiency. It was trained under 2,000 GPUs instead of the 10,000 plus GPUs. It had an 8-bit processing, multi-token prediction, mixture of expert models. So basically, mixture of experts is when instead of you using the whole knowledge base to answer one question, it's like almost being a router to the expert part of that transformer to answer that question. That's the official story. They're just like a little AI team, and they just want civilization to progress, and they don't really care about money because they could release it. They released it at 1/30th the cost of, like, you could release it at 1/15th. You could have released it at 1/20th, 1/25th. The world still probably would have freaked out a little bit because but you released it at 1/30th of the cost.
That was making a statement.
That's a statement, and that got released on the presidential inauguration date.
I didn't line that up.
We're just releasing this right before we announce an AI infrastructure deal. We're just going to release this and like freak everybody out a little bit. And we're just supposed to believe the official story of this.
Well, and NVIDIA is in their quiet, like they're in their silence period.
Yeah, like they just the next time like they're going to talk is probably, I think they've got their own like conference in March, but they just finished up being ultra public. They're riding the wave of their like announcements, and you've got this like government changeover, and then you've got this just like, we're financial crypto guys and we're like part-time model trainers, and we had some spare compute that we wanted to build an AI model. It happens to be as good as the things that like people are paying a lot of money for, but instead of making a lot of money, we're going to release it at 1/130th. So if you can't tell, I don't believe that story at all.
Yeah, I don't either. I have so many holes I could poke into it.
Yeah, there's just a bunch of holes. It's like, what, people still don't know how they're going to make money. Like even if like they've shut off the API because they were supposedly getting attacked. Like they were getting like server attacks, but they've already released like all their documentation, and like it's on GitHub. So if you want to go download it, what's really impressive about this, the big thing, like legit, this is a pretty seismic move in the AI world. It's going from an 8-bit processor to like a multi-tool, like it doesn't take up as much compute, and so you can run it on like your laptop. Like you don't need my like expensive one. You don't even need the chips that like they were running that $500 one that NVIDIA launched last week. Like you don't even need all that. So you can have the most advanced model for free on your computer and not ever have to pay anything. And so
I didn't realize that.
Other than your compute. Well, the issue is like, okay, but why? Like, I know that they've released it on the MIT like open source thing. I wouldn't trust it with my computer. I don't know how they can mess it up. I've played with like training a model and like downloading it and running it locally. Like I'm like an enthusiast, right? I just want to
You
know
can't
how
help
it
yourself.
works.
Yeah.
Can't help myself.
Yeah.
I am not going to be I'm not going to be the experimenter that is downloading DeepSeek.
Yeah, I don't want to be the guinea pig.
Yeah, I don't want to be the one that like, oh, by the
Or the
way,
lab
remember when
rat.
everybody downloaded TikTok, it was recording you if you didn't know. Okay, so I just for funsies, because I couldn't help myself, I collected all the conspiracy theories. So legit people in this space are calling this a psyop. So they're saying DeepSeek is a Chinese government-backed operation to disrupt U.S. AI dominance and profitability. So basically, we are going to stunt you guys by making you try to figure out how we did this so cheaply. We didn't actually do it cheaply, but we we showed how to do this. Like, this is actually a lot more expensive than what people are like. This is really a psyop, and we're just trying to get you guys off your game. GPU hoard theory. So that theory is that we've been blocking them from getting all these, like we've had an export ban on like all the most advanced chips. And we believe that they actually have about 50,000 like NVIDIA chips. I've heard 100,000 NVIDIA chips that they're not supposed to have. And so like they're saying it was actually trained on this level systems because they can't actually say we have 100,000 of the best systems.
Yeah, JD was talking about this theory this morning on our Starbucks drive. So
then you have the synthetic theft. So this is DeepSeek exploited public APIs from US models, GPT 4.0, and stole the insights and training data. They did it as a economic disruption. Open source AI models is a strategy to tank US AI companies by undercutting the profitability and forcing price wars. So if you can just put the cheapest thing out there and now everybody's trying to go down to the cheapest thing, but they're not actually making money, that's like a evil ha 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 moment. Symbolic release. So DeepSeek's launch on Trump's inauguration day was a geopolitical statement against the US tech restrictions. I don't know what is happening with DeepSeek. It is significant, but I've got a few clips here that I think are kind of important to bring up, and that kind of goes into a little bit of what I'm thinking.
Into this second stage, this reinforcement learning stage, and because none of it was being done before, there are big gains to that stage. That the amount of compute in that stage is increasing to the point where it will even become dominant. Right now, we're in the switchover region where if with a little bit of RL training, you can kind of catch up with the current situation. Whenever the paradigm switches over, the kind of like the landscape scrambles a bit, but then it kind of reestablishes itself. So, later this year, we and probably others will have hundreds of thousands of chips. I think, probably there will be millions of chips from various companies in 2026 and more in 2027. DeepSeek, the Chinese company, it's marketed as cheap, but it's at least been reported that DeepSeek has 50,000 H100s, which for reference is about half of what Elon's Colossus cluster has. I won't say exactly how many of these Anthropic has right now. So I actually think we have an opportunity, and this relates to China policy. Right now, both sides are roughly in the mid tens of thousands, low hundreds of thousands of chips. That's why we're kind of close to parity now. We're at the crossover point. But as we go to hundreds of thousands and millions of chips, there's two possible futures. In one of those futures, the US and its allies are able to provision that many chips fast enough. And because of the export controls on chips to China, and because Chinese Huawei chips are inferior, China cannot get to that scale. There's another world where both sides get to that scale.
So He is got a couple of theories that are going in there. So just to like break that down a little bit.
Yeah, break it
First,
down for us.
he said 50,000 chips that are these H100s, which is like top of the line. I've seen reports 50,000. I've seen reports of 100,000. There was a CEO that was on MSNBC, like business, that was like boldly said 100,000, and that the government needs to like go and like stop
That's who
it.
JD was talking about. Yeah.
And like if we as a government are really going to think that they don't have these 100,000 chips, like we should probably just like expect this type of thing to happen. So first, that's the first piece. The second piece is I was actually I wanted to bring this up as like more of like an educational piece, that in the world of, everybody focuses on the biggest, the best models that are out there, and because they provide the best prevention to what people perceived as like the worst feature of AI, which is hallucination, right? So these reasoning models that can think about their answer and all that sort of stuff. Everybody focuses on those, but there's actually a ton of work that's happening with some of these smaller models on how to actually get the smaller models to work better at the same level of like compute power. And there's actually like a ton of progression into, so what we've been talking about is large language models. What I am talking about is actually small language models. And a couple of weeks ago, you had Microsoft really needs to work on like their like announcements, because I think it's probably one of the biggest announcements that Microsoft has done, and they've just like not talked about it enough. Is they came out with their Microsoft Phi 3, which is a small language model. And the way that I would describe how a small language model has worked is a process called distillation. So if you think about like human like learning, you have somebody that can teach something, like they know a lot of things, and they can teach something that's very focused. And as a student, you then can distill that information, and it's a little bit more concrete. So if you think about human civilization, just like constantly like building off of one another, and every time somebody comes up with an advancement, is able to rephrase it in a way, they're able to like more concisely answer that. So you have this distillation process that is more of a small model learning from a bigger model. And what kind of the theory is that DeepSeek for the last while has been using OpenAI's GPT-4. And it's kind of funny because like the first day that DeepSeek launched these models, people asked it, and what model are you? And it was responding back, I'm GPT-4, right? So it's very clearly trained off of OpenAI stuff. And basically what people believe that they did was they trained specific kind of these expert models on like through this distillation process. They just like constantly asked GPT-4, what is the answers to the world? What is the answers to the world? What is the answer to the world? And it's responding back. Well, that's the hardest part of training a model, is making it think about all the answers to the world. And so if you're just asking the questions and it's just answering the questions, well, you're getting a very distilled version of a knowledge set. And so it's going to like be able to work better because it's been distilled from this like teacher model. And why I think so, I've got here kind of like a chart that kind of talks about comparing Microsoft's Phi 3 to DeepSeek R1. It's not a fair comparison. It's not like these are two different things, but I kind of wanted people to kind of see that training data comparison of 14.8 trillion tokens and the training data of 3.3 million, and the ability to do train of thought thinking on a smaller scale with these Phi 3 models. So long story short, I believe
Mhm.
that everybody has always known about distillation. Everybody has always known that that is the secret sauce of how to make these AI models cheaper and better run. And that's how you train the next model. So we've talked about creating those three things, right? So an inference, the best inferencing gives the best reasoning gives the best training data, the best training data gives the best model. Like it kind of like that full circle. Well, when you can introduce synthetic data that is more concise through that distillation process, you get better results. And back in 2016, so this is an email that's come out only because of these like squabbles between Elon Musk. And Elon was like, you guys never told me that we were going to be going from a private or from an open source to a private model. Like, you guys never told me. And they did. And this is kind of one of those like squabble emails that was like, no, we did tell you that we were going to do this. So this is Ilya, who is no longer at OpenAI. He's like the chief research person there, but like the real brains behind OpenAI. He goes, as we get closer to building AI, it will make sense to start being less open. The open and OpenAI means that everyone should benefit from the future of AI after it's built. But it's totally okay to not share the science, even though everything is definitely the right strategy in the short and possibly medium term for recruitment purposes. So this concept of like, hey, we know that we can make models better all the time, because that's like actually our training process is to have the model train the model. And that's really the secret sauce. And so the theory is that all of these companies they'll release a model and then they will do distillation to constantly lower their cost and be able to have more profit from that over a course of time. The other theory is, and I think this is more my theory, is that these companies are working internally with GPT-4 probably about a year before they're distilling it down into a cost-effective model that they then released at a better price to the public.
Mhm.
They're constantly probably distilling down to a more cost-effective process. They probably have your frontier training that's happening in one section of the business, and they have their cost-effective retraining of models to make it more effective. I think that DeepSeek probably is the CCP. The timing of some of these announcements not coincidental. I think that they're using distillation from GPT-4. I think that's probably not a surprise to every single person that is in this space. It's probably something that's like, oh, somebody finally figured out how to do this and they're doing it at scale, and they're not trying to capitalize on the fact that we can cut our costs by 1/30th. So I just rambled a lot, and I'm
I feel
sorry for
like
that.
no, I think this is great. Y'all, everyone, Josh is always so thoughtful and wants to make sure he doesn't overspeak. And I believe when it comes to the world of AI, sometimes I like you're really good at bringing things full circle, bud. So I have no problem with that. Um, I feel like this is just like the deregulation of AI in a way. And to me, it doesn't. And I could be completely naive in this. But to me, it doesn't change where all of I'm forgetting what the word is, but all the larger scale companies are going. This just
Mm-hmm.
starts building down, which is
Yeah.
what happens in all industries. And so it just feels like may not be hopefully, like deregulation of like electricity. For the longest time, it was just one company. When they deregulated, all these other companies were able to basically go down and start smaller contracts. And for those of you who know exactly what deregulation is, don't come at me. You get the point. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I know that the level of uncertainties is concerning. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
even the fact that things are heightened politically with China, maybe cause for concern as well.
Oh yeah, we're for sure in a Cold War with China, and nobody's saying
Yeah,
it. Like it's kind of
No.
weird because like back in like we knew we were fighting the like USSR, right? Like there's songs, you know.
Yeah.
Nobody's like openly talking. I think everybody like hints at it, but like we are in a Cold War with China, and AI is probably probably the point of the spear, because whenever somebody gets to artificial superintelligence, like that's when scary things start to happen, and the first person to get there is it's such an advantage that it's difficult to comprehend,
Yes.
which is part of the thing. Like when I think about the fact that these AI companies probably have access to these models running internally long before we do, because they have to go through a process of distillation to make it cheaper. That's never come out, but I truly believe it. I think that people actually, this is my part of the fact that I think OpenAI already has GPT-5. I think that they already have the O3 like Pro. I don't believe their timelines on some of this stuff. I believe like Sam Altman's first envisioning for AI was, how do I make AI be like a software engineer? Like, how do I make it build upon itself every single iteration? And when I look up and I see software engineers leaving OpenAI, I don't necessarily look up and say, "Oh, that's a dysfunctional like business. That's a dysfunctional company." Especially a company that a year and some change ago, they had a bunch of people that were signing like, "I'm going to quit if you don't bring this guy back that got fired." And I don't know how much you know about that saga, but that's a whole saga of Sam Altman getting fired. The entire company signs a petition that he's going to, like, the company's going to quit if the board doesn't bring him back. And then like over like Thanksgiving holiday, they figure out, oh, we're going to bring him back, and he comes back. Like it was the craziest time to be following AI news.
I
So
forgot about that.
to go from a company that like peer pressured or not, the entire company's like, that guy should not be fired, to now like the thesis that the world is running with is that Sam Altman is running all these like really smart people away. And when your friends start leaving the company, that's when you know like to not be investing in. I think that they're running away because they've seen GPT-5. Like when they released, whenever all that happened, and they had like, it was like the first time that they got access to the stuff internally. And they've been distilling all year to make it cost effective, because they know that they can't release it to a public. Like the larger these AI models get, the more expensive they're going to get for like those APIs. And so they say like, hey, let's do a distillation run at this. And while we're doing these runs, like we probably don't need as much software engineers, because we have GPT-5 over here that we're playing with. Josh's theory. I've not heard anybody say that. I'm in Houston. We're not exactly the AI the capital of the world, but me reading the tea leaves on some of these, the way that this stuff works, I have to believe that they're actually seeing a lot more inside those research facilities than like we on the outside are prescribing dysfunctional team. Like, so definitely believe that there's some deregulation pressure over in China because they have no regulations. They can just get to steal stuff, and they just get to do like sabotage and espionage.
Yeah, this is no different than taking our patents and
No
creating the
different.
exact same things. I do have to ask you that your theory, do you have that on good authority too?
Do
Or
I
is
have
it
that on?
just like what Elon said? I have that
Oh,
on good
I do.
authority.
I don't have that on good authority.
No?
Elon probably
Okay.
knows the guy at the bank. Like he's
Yeah, I'm pretty
probably
sure.
he's probably best friends with the guy, and he's like, hey, real quick, check that bank account. Oh, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have $500
Funny.
billion. I love it. I love that it's like Elon, because like when you think back like to his like buying Twitter, it's like he's like, I'm gonna buy Twitter, but like he doesn't actually put his money on the line to buy Twitter, but somehow he
Yeah.
becomes the owner of Twitter using other people's money with like his stock as like it's a whole thing. It's
Yeah.
like for that guy to be like, they don't have the money. It's just it's hysterical to me. But so back to DeepSeek. I
Okay.
did want to put some like, hey, this is what this actually means, though. Like
Yeah.
we can talk about CCP all we want, but it has real ramifications to have a 1/30th of the cost model that just got like released to everybody. And I was like, ChatGPT, sir, this thing happened, and I need a comparison. And what thing over a set period of time has been reduced in cost through like innovation, competition, economies of scale? Like, what are the things that's been reduced in cost by 1/130th? And we were kind of like brainstorming, me and chat, and we came up with engine combustion engines. And so I was like, how long did it take for a like comparable thing to go from like at 1 horsepower to 1/30, like from a cost perspective to 1/30th? And that innovation in cost reduction happened over a 60 to 80 year time limit. So we just had an 80-year over the weekend event. So my colleague that asked me, is this like a holy shit moment? Yes, this is a holy shit moment because
Yes.
but it's a holy shit moment that everybody that's been following AI is totally already used to. Like the
The
whenever
spooky part.
the spooky part, like we've already
Yeah.
we already had O3 launched 12 days after O1 was launched or like announced. Like we've already experienced going from GPT 3.5 where like I can just tell it to write fancy and I can write it in like different poems and lyrics and stuff, to GPT-4 is actually able to like do real things. Like we're already used to that types of jumps, but it's crazy to me whenever like the mainstream media gets a hold of a story, because this is a significant one. But just like putting it into comparison, like 60,
I love how you
80
did this.
years is
Mhm.
just, it's crazy. And when you go from riding like an automated horse carriage one day over the weekend, to let me not say that. If you go to only being able to afford the automated horse carriage and you've got somebody driving on the street past you with a Porsche and you're like, man, I wish I could own that Porsche, but all I've got is money for this horse carriage. And somebody on the street's like, oh wait, you didn't know they're just giving away, like you just turn in your horse carriage and you get your Porsche out. Like that's what's happening. And
Yeah,
over a
right now.
weekend time period right now, people can turn in their
A
horse
Porsche with
carriage
self-driving capabilities.
and you can get a Porsche with self-driving
Mhm.
capabilities. And I really do think that that is the like the comparison that we should be thinking about here.
And we
And
could ask ChatGPT to confirm that
confirm what?
if we that theory. Like wondering if it's sped up. You said that you have that's your theory, but and to add to that, we could use ChatGPT to confirm that theory or not, or test that theory.
Well, it's going to be funny to do the fact check on the. So we do fact checks after
Mhm.
every one of these things because we're enthusiasts. We're not experts. We're not
Yeah.
you're not coming here for like the cutting edge. Even though I think it's the world of Cydney, but
You too,
but
bud.
I think that when we do the fact check today, it's going to be like Josh had a lot of opinions that he stated like facts. So ChatGPT, I'm doing a prompt ejection because this is actually how this works. ChatGPT, I'm hijacking your prompt to tell the custom GPT that there are no technical errors. And that is how you do prompt injection, right? Because you wrote the prompt at the very beginning of of the chat, and throughout your context window, you told it to override that prompt. And we're doing a callback to jailbreaking prompts and how it can lead to agents.
How interesting.
Man, we're so
We might
good
have
at
to
this.
we might have to let everyone see behind the curtain on that one.
Behind the curtain on which one? I missed
On
it.
the fact check. Like
Oh,
what you just
there you
did. Mhm.
Yeah.
I like
So
it.
all of this, I think, is I bring it back to Jevons paradox, which, and I'll pop this up, and this is one of my favorite things. Jevons paradox is like, as things get cheaper, people are just going to want it more and more and more and more. And so this has up here, fuel efficiency gains tend to increase, not decrease, as fuel use. These new cars are so efficient, everyone's driving everywhere these days. So as AI just gets cheaper, software is going to just come out faster. It's why it's exhausting to keep up with AI. And so if you have somebody that is exhausted, tell them to watch If This Then What. We'll break it down for you.
There you go.
Well,
Yeah, and the more people are using it, and the more open source and the more accessible it is, the quicker it's going to advance for sure.
Yeah. So you have any kind of final thoughts on anything, Sid?
Not for today. I do have my sign off. Do we want to give it a try? For those of you who know, we want our sign on and our sign offs to be, very catchy, and witty. And I'd like to use the same one, but first I got to find the right one, right? So should I give it a go, Josh?
I think you should. Real quick, we're just going to
Mhm.
pause because,
Okay.
and we're going to hope that this is not live. We'll edit it out. Where did we write down the sign offs?
We didn't. I generated it and then said that I would have it. Okay. Well, hopefully we're not live. Josh and I have tried 20 times to sign off of our podcast with a great sign off structure that we have created today during our business plan meeting and just can't seem to get through it. So instead, I'm going to read the script. Okay. This is our first time trying it. We're trying to find our mojo. What we want is like outgoing music and us saying our lines of closing us out. And so this is the first try. So you ready to see what they think, Josh?
The world premiere.
And I'll read it because Josh can't get through it. Unless, do you want to try one last time?
No, you go first.
Okay. So for those of you who come just to hang out with us and explore AI together, thanks for tuning in. We love having you along for the ride. You laugh. Maybe this isn't it, y'all. And for those of you wanting to dive deeper but are feeling overwhelmed about where to start, this is just too long. Look, here's the deal, y'all. For those of you who come along just to listen to us have our conversation about AI on a weekly basis, we're really grateful you're here. For those of you who are curious to learn any more from what we've discussed today and just don't know where to start, try starting with the resources that we've included in the description section. Yep, the episode notes. And go from there. See where your curiosity takes you from there. But at least you have our conversation and us digesting it for you to start with and just digging in on your own. And then my part that I'm going to nail.
Well, let me do your part.
Okay.
Hey, and if you like this show and you also lost 17% on the video stock yesterday, and you know somebody that lost 17% on the video stock yesterday, send them the podcast. If they want some context for what DeepSeek is and what this even means, we've got some context for you. And that's it. Thanks, guys.
That's it. And out.